guys both look gorgeous.
Thank you.
I don't. I underdress, and I apologize. I was feeling like we're meeting Drew. It's like a 90s chic vibe, and now I'm like, I should have been like news.
You know what's so funny? I'm only dressed this way because I'm at work. And if I was in my normal clothes, you would feel like you're ready to hit the red carpet. All right, everybody, welcome back to Drew's News Podcast, where we're giving you all the quirky, fun, and inspiring, and yes, informative stories that exist in the world because, well, we all need it right now. And today we're covering everything from love and relationships. And this week I have not one, but two fabulous co-pilots from the podcast, Girls Gotta Eat, Rayna Greenberg and Ashley Hesseltine.
Hi.
You guys, thank you so much for coming here today.
Thank you for having us.
I'm amazed that you guys are getting like 2.5 million like downloads. What does that feel like, knowing that I was interested, Ashley, in asking you, and I was like, let's save it for the podcast because I'm genuinely curious. You were in a relationship that like you wanted to make it work. It wasn't like going the way that you were hoping it was, and that opened you up and matriculated to like an idea for this podcast or wanting to do this.
Yeah, let's not give him too much credit. No, I'm just kidding. But I just
screw him. But a light bulb went off in you.
I was in a relationship that there was a lot happening. There was falling in love. There was a real connection. There was seeing a future, but there was also a lot of volatility and toxicity and wanting something to work so badly that just wouldn't. And I dabbled in therapy for a little bit, and I was just taking in so much information. I was talking to friends about their relationships, and I just became so intrigued with relationships in general. What makes them work? What makes them not work? How can you be so in love and this can't work out? And that made me want to just talk about it more. And I knew that I wanted that a podcast would kind of be the next natural thing for me personally and everything that I'd done in my career. And they were really gaining a lot of traction. So that's kind of what I felt like the next step would be, obviously with a comedic twist. And then I was like, I just want to talk about dating and relationships, like I don't want to go through another breakup again and not tell millions of people about it.
And Rayna, then you came in, like what was the impetus for you to want to jump in and talk about relationships with the company of millions of people? And I don't say that judgmentally because I've been an open book my whole life.
Yeah. I have a business partner that, allows me to do that, of course, and an incredible audience. But for me, I went through this really pivotal moment in my life where my fiance came home the night before our engagement party and he said, I'm not in love with you and I don't want to marry you. And my whole life just exploded and I was so humiliated and I was just like, where do I even go for this information? Like, who can I bond with? I must be the only person that anybody's ever broken an engagement with in the entire world. And I didn't even know where to go for community. And fast forward, I meet Ashley, we start this show and we get to talk about all these things. And you get to normalize these experiences for so many people. Ashley talks a lot about not wanting to be a mother, or I talk about my fiance leaving me and things like that. And people can like look at our show and go like, I recognize my experience and I'm normal and it's going to be okay and I'm going to survive. And the things that I want are totally normal. If I want this thing in the bedroom or in the boardroom or whatever you want. And it comes really natural to both of us. We're very open and we have families that allow us to do that too. Like our parents are just so excited to like see us do what we do.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that this does work. I don't think being an open book or a curious person or wanting to explore in a community style setting, I don't even want to call it in public because I really think community is like a well-intended word. Public feels like it's, you're an exhibitionist, and that's for me not what it's ever been. I'm just like, I have a problem building walls up with other people. Those I save for sexual and romantic relationships. That's where like the walls sort of go up now in my adulthood. But I think that it's nice to know you're not alone. It's nice to speak about these things. It's nice to discuss and figure out and work on things and make progress and grow up. The more the years go by, the sort of more I feel calmer. I know things more. I've figured out things more. I'm liking life more. I was such a wobbly calf for so much of my life, or at least it felt that way. So I like figuring it all out. What else are we here to do?
Yeah.
I feel like I've always wanted to talk more about this stuff. So that's what has made the show popular. Who doesn't? You know, I don't like to have small talk with people. I'm just like, when's the last time you got laid? Let's talk about it. Or, you know, tell me about your terrible breakup. Like, I think it's really how we like to bond. It's like sleepover talk, you know, morning after talk. It's like kind of what we fostered in the podcast.
Cut to the chase.
They feel like they're just hanging out with their friends, which has kind of always been the goal.
Yeah, and people listen every week because they want to catch up on our lives. Like, I can't tell you how many people find the show and go back to episode 1 because they're like, I got to see how they got there. And I got to hear about the relationships and the breakups. And it's like must-see TV. They want to go back and hear about our whole lives. And as much as our audience has given to us and says like, thank you for helping me fix a broken relationship or leave a toxic one or fix a friendship, and they've given us so much too. And it means so much like when somebody hears us talk about something and they message and say like, thank you so much for talking about that. I thought I was the only person, or you put words to something I was never able to vocalize. And
yeah, it's encouraging.
It's exciting.
Too. And by the way, can I ask the origin stories of Girls Gotta Eat? And like, for anyone who may not know, how you guys came upon that title. It's so catchy. It's so crisp. It's got like yummy bite to it. It is.
I came up with it one day walking to the L train. I mean, I just was like texting with Rayna. We'd already decided to do this podcast. I was throwing names out there, and I love the phrase. People sometimes reference a Friends episode when Phoebe says a girl's got to eat. I mean, I didn't grow up, but I spent a lot of time in the South where I feel like the connotation is like, you know, a girl's got to go on a bad date to get a free meal. I think there's a world in which a girl's got to get her money, get her bag, or just get laid or whatever. It's open to interpretation. And now I feel like I'm hearing it more in like, when someone says like they ate, it's like they did really well. They performed really well. They crushed that, whatever. So it's even, I feel like picking up more traction. And so it just applies to every area of life.
It looks cute on merch.
It does.
It's like our sorority. We have like sorority t-shirts.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get
And we love to eat. I just need to make it clear.
I was a food blogger. Ashley and I love to eat.
Eating's a big part of this.
I mean, literally, you could lure me like the dumbest fish in the sea with like any bait that's edible. All right. Well, we'll be right back to serve you more news, including dating terms that you need to know, to the green flags in relationships that you must pay attention to. All right, well, let's get into story number 1. A married woman wrote into the Washington Post advice column asking for guidance on how to comfort her single friends when they're feeling down, and it sparked a little debate. The article is entitled, Can a Married Person Comfort Unhappy Single Friends? And that is the question here for us right now. Guys, thoughts?
Yes, tell them how your marriage is. Like, tell them what's going on in the marriage and everything that's going wrong. That's how you comfort single people. I love to hear about all the terrible going on in my friends' marriages. I'm kind of kidding, but not really. Like, I think.
No, I love this. Go. Keep going.
I think there's a world in which you think everything's perfect. You think that your friends have these perfect marriages, these perfect families and kids, and marriage and family and kids are wonderful. But I think it's sometimes helpful to show the cracks if your friend is complaining. You're like, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I think that's part of it, and I'm half joking, but I think that, I don't know, Rayna, what are your feelings?
Well, I read this article, and I read the feedback, and I thought it was really interesting, and I think a lot of times, listen, it's well-intentioned, you want to help your friends, but I think a lot of times for people that are married for a long time, the feedback to their friends can be like, well, me and Josh just worked out because blah, 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 and it's like, I'm not asking you for your very insular situation and feedback on why your life is better than mine and why it worked out for you and it can't work out for me, and the feedback in this article was really great, actually, because she said, instead of telling somebody like why your life worked out so well and why your marriage is so good, mine information about their lives and say, well, let's talk about your past and some patterns and just ask them more questions about their own life instead of regurgitating why yours is so great. And I thought that was like really interesting feedback.
I also think, you know, sometimes that's not the friend you need to go to if you just want to vent about being single. I think sometimes this could be on the other person, you know, like the married friend felt like they don't they're not hearing anything I have to say. I'm not sure how to act. You know, I want to be like, I support you and I hear you. But if they just want to moan and groan about being single, which is fine, everybody needs to vent, maybe find another single friend to go down the rabbit hole with. I mean,
God, I love this so much. I agree. There are some relationships I look at and I'm like, I'm so relieved I'm single because
all the
some
time.
relationships are so full of tension. It's like I'm with couples sometimes, and it's like their every move like has this weird like gaspy nature to it. Like, but like the person moves a cup and the other person kind of like flinches and reacts to it, and I think that eggshell life, I would just not make it.
Ashley and I look at other relationships sometimes, and I like will side text her and be like, "Aren't you so glad this isn't us?" Yes. Are you glad this is just like I'm unbothered? I'm just ordering my takeout, hanging out, watching Netflix at night, unbothered. I'm not having sex with anybody that but at the same time, I don't have to deal with the bad stuff, and that's great.
I couldn't agree more. And then there are couples I hear about, and I usually hear about them right when I need it the most. Like somebody who met and within 4 days like got married, but they've been married for 23 years and they have 3 beautiful children and they're figuring it out. And do I know the ins and outs of their relationship? No, but I am a hopeless romantic, but I'm also a very pragmatic person who does not want or need to be in a relationship or having sex for the sake of any of it. But I'm going to be 48 years old and I have 2 kids. It's just naturally where I am. I wouldn't have felt this way 10, 20 years ago. So I want to get to the place in my life where I just don't idealize other people. And I'm not fooling myself about what other people have. I want to figure out what's right for me. And that has taken a lot of time of being single and getting to know myself because I didn't know myself well enough. I was somewhat of an imprinter, as most of us are when we get into a relationship where we become half of that other person. And I wanted to become fully whole on my own.
I think it's easy to look at other people's lives and be like, I want that thing. And some people are just lucky. Both of our brothers have great marriages. Ashley's parents have a great marriage. And
that's an interesting question. Do we think some people get lucky?
I don't think there's anything easy about a long-term relationship. I don't think you're just like lucky and it just happens. But, I think my brother and his wife really work on it. I think they're lucky to have met at 22 and grown up together and grown in the same direction and have like a great life. I'm sure that it's hard. But, I also think like I look at your life and mine and Ashley's and I think like, I don't know, I'm so proud of my life. I think some people look at us and think, I want that.
Yeah.
I would forgo all this other bullshit to have that.
I mean,
yes.
My life's a dream. I feel like I'm in a dream. I'm like, this is amazing.
I want to high five right now. I want to high five right now. It's so true. We talk about the romanticization of couples. I want to romanticize the individual and the life.
Yes.
Yeah, we were on stage at the Chicago Theater, and Ashley and I were like, "This is the best night of our lives."
I defy, like, I love dating. Okay, I date once or twice a year. That's about as much as I can handle. And there's even the worst dates are comedy stories for me.
That's why I do comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like nothing can happen that I can't go on stage and work through it and make people laugh.
Agreed.
With me at my expense, I guess. It's such a dream to have these crazy things happen, whether it's a funny sexual experience or getting ghosted and be able to share it with all these people.
I just got ghosted so hard recently.
What? Who ghosted Drew Barrymore?
Crazy.
Oh, it was gnarly. Okay, but this is so great because something so wonderful came out of it because it really like hurt my feelings because the person and I had a great date and we made a plan to meet up that weekend and it just felt very adult and it felt like there's something here maybe which I know from like one date that sounds psycho.
No, it doesn't.
It does not at all.
I've met people and been like, you were put on the earth for me in a couple of hours. It doesn't sound crazy.
I'm not sure I was investing that much, but I definitely thought.
And also we hate him because he ghosted you.
Well, I thought maybe we would meet up for the plan we made that weekend.
Ugh.
Complete ghost. And so I called my therapist, Barry, which I know sounds bougie, and that's not it. Barry is like one of the most high road thinking people I've ever met. And I was speaking to him, and I was just saying, God, I just missed that Jack Berger Post-it note. We all vilified him in Sex and the City for the Post-it note. I'm sorry, I can't, don't hate me. And this was the bad guy? This guy in this day and age would be a freaking saint. I'm sorry. All right, you know something's not kosher here. I can't. Well, guess what? Now I get to move forward with my life because I know what you're thinking and feeling, which is it's not on. It's not happening. It's not for me. You're not for me. It's not for me. I can't. Yes. And don't hate me as, look, I acknowledge something like a little weird is happening here, but look, that's just how it's got to be because I can't.
Can I ask more questions about this?
Please.
So you had a plan.
What's his
name? What did he, also what's his name? I thought you were going to say I called my publicist. You're like, I called my therapist. It's normal.
You're like, call page 6. We have a story.
Exactly. No, I called Barry, the greatest man, thinker, and I basically said, there's a part of me that wants to text him and say, gosh, this is so awkward if we do run into each other. I just don't like meeting people and not having things be above board. So clearly no plans. And then I'm like, as I'm telling him this, I'm like, this is so stupid. I know this is my ego talking. And this is not coming from the part of me that I accept of myself. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what to do. I just want the Jack Burger Post-it note. It would have made it all okay.
What I like to do is just send a ghost emoji. I see you, and you ghost to me. I love that.
And it's Halloween.
Okay, that's the next thing I'm gonna do.
Okay, Drew, you gotta do it soon though, because it can't be a Halloween text.
No, I think the statute of limitations is gone. But here's what Barry told me, and I'm so into it. I was like, why? Why couldn't I just get the Jack Burger Post-it note? That's all I wanted. And he goes, well, you can write the Jack Burger Post-it note to yourself.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, you just took all the heat and fire and passion from me to make this make sense to me through another human being. And I'm closing the book on it. I feel whole. I'm moving on. It's literally in the rearview mirror, and I'm driving away. All that energy to want to control it, understand it, fix it, or say my piece is gone. Because I now know he couldn't. He's maybe sorry. And I don't hate. It just all of a sudden, if you can say for yourself someone can't, it's it's so healing.
Yeah. I also think Rayna and I did an episode on this recently, and we were inspired by this article in New York Mag, maybe?
New York Mag, this guy, Poppy.
His quote, I'm not going to get it right, but it was, why would you want to be with somebody that's going to do that anyway? It's really rude. It's disrespectful. It's cowardly. I guess there's also extenuating circumstances, of course. Could always be a situation where there's a death in family. They died. But it's really not good behavior, and it's such a red flag when people do that, when they have a nice time and just disappear. So
and make
that's
a plan.
So that's kind of our closure is you don't want that person. I know it's not such a hot take, but it's
no, it's the hottest take. Yeah. First of all, if you need the burger Post-it note, write it to yourself. If that's not enough for you, the ghost emoji might be the most delicious takeaway and piece of prompt ever. And the ultimate question is, why would you want to engage with this person at all who would treat anyone that way?
Absolutely.
Man up and
go off.
Or lady up, who gets girls ghost too. Oh my God, I love you.
We just solved ghosting.
We just solved ghosting. I'm not kidding. You have an A, B, or C menu of options. Whereas a few weeks ago, I felt so helpless and stupid.
I mean, everybody feels stupid, and I think it really probably empowers people that even Drew Barrymore can get ghosted. What hope do I have?
I was thinking.
But it makes us all feel really small. And when you really think about it, this person doesn't know you. I mean, he can Wikipedia you, but he doesn't know anything about
everybody can contribute to and say weird things about.
He doesn't know you. He doesn't know anything about you, and that's not a mark against the value that you bring to the world. It's this person just decided to ghost out of this. It doesn't mean you're any less interesting, smart, beautiful, sexy, any of those things. That you're just a stranger to them, and they just got busy and didn't respect you to say hey, I just don't see a romantic future.
Yep, exactly. And the reason I do love talking about it, and this kind of goes back to the intro that we were talking about, is I love sharing it because it's, you said who would do that to you? And it's so funny. It's oh no, I'm just another girl out there who's dealing with the same stuff that we're all dealing with. And through technology and portals, there is now new behaviors that we are contending with in the romance world. And we are all in this together. And it is incredibly relative. We are all literally trying to navigate the new normals and figure out how to empower ourselves. And I think we're all in this together. And the more you talk about it, the more you realize exactly what you said when your fiance walked in is, I'm the only one that's going through this. And it's like the more you talk about it, you'll feel less alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, story number 2. Our next topic is from dawn dating, described as people who prefer going on early morning dates, to groundhogging, which means that you keep dating the same type over and over again. There's an endless amount of dating terms to keep up with. And I was wondering, what are some of the terms that you've been using, and do you have a fave?
So we always laugh at this stuff because it's like they're just constantly rebranding behavior. Like it's just like people are like, I need a new BuzzFeed like article. Let me rebrand this bizarre behavior. I read this article and like one of the things that it was beige flags, and it made me laugh so hard.
We did it on the news.
And that's just boring people, right?
It just means that they're boring. So you go on a dating app and you're like, oh, this is a beige flag.
I actually love that one.
People say I love like family and friends and meeting new people. Like that's a huge beige flag to me.
Yeah, I love travel. Yeah.
So does everyone.
Okay, but this might actually get into a richer conversation about said beige flags that are, again, seemingly like negative or have some albatross around their little necks. And, beige flags, so boring. In between red and green flags lies beige. Are we all supposed to be looking at beige flags through a different lens because red and green might be a little severe in one direction or another?
So I would like you to say what you said to me the other day, because I was talking about this guy might be a little boring. And she was like, go ahead, you say what you were saying.
I can't wait to hear this.
First of all, Rayna and I are not huge fans of dating apps in the first place. And a lot of, I guess, both men and women, but a lot of men phone it in. It's going to be boring. They did it on the fly. They're not thinking that deeply about it. It may not matter that much to them. They may have something stupid like, I love my family. It's like, that's nice. That's not a red flag. So I try not to read too deeply into that. For me, if I'm calling someone boring, it's because we did meet in person or, whatever. But Rayna has gone out with this guy. We met him along in the winter, and they've reconnected because I forced her to reach out to him. And she just doesn't love his texting, and that it's not so like spicy and exciting, but she likes him in person. So who cares? I brought it up. I was like, yeah, your ex was the best texter alive. So was mine. It was banter. It was witty. They were comedians, but that didn't work out for a ton of reasons that they weren't our match. So if this guy's got everything else you like and you enjoy him in person, we can let the texting go. I know it's not ideal. We love to text. Rayna and I text all day long. We love banter. We love witty people, but that's not a reason to write someone off.
Can we do this like every week?
Yeah. You'll be the third co-host.
I'm not kidding.
No, we're the other 2 co-hosts on your show.
I've been so excited to do this with you guys, and so honored that you would like lend your time over here on our field. And if there's anything, like, I don't want to invite myself over, but I would love to come on yours.
Literally anytime.
These are the kind of conversations that we're all having offline. So to be having them online is so fun because they're, I just really appreciated everything you just said. And it's such good girlfriend advice. I don't know what it is that men are looking for. I'm not a man, but maybe it's the same thing. And I just don't know that and realize it. But as a girl and a woman, I just really loved everything you said. And I think it's really solid advice.
Thanks. I mean, yeah, these are the conversations we have all day, every day. I don't know how Rayna and I still have things to talk about 4.5 years later. But that's
2.5 million people a month say.
But I laughed at the dawn dating because Rayna used to. I never thought that it was weird that I like to go on day dates, and she has been roasting me for years.
It's crazy
that I go out in the daylight.
It's crazy, and I have the skin to carry a day date. Okay, I look fine in the daylight, but I don't want to do it. I want to meet you at sexy time,
and I don't.
No, I'm saying you do too. I Ashley has a whole skincare routine. I barely wash my face with water. But you look great. I want to be in the dark. Sexy time. I want to be like sitting between your legs. I'd like there would be a possibility of like leg touching. I'm not doing it at 4 o'clock.
She makes fun of me so hard if I go out with a guy before the sun sets. She's like, I've had the best day dates, Rayna.
Not a first date.
Day dating too.
Not a first date.
I kind of like partying during the day, like, and then being in bed by 6.
That's my vibe,
I want to go out on a date. I want to like have some fun. I want to like blow it out, and then at 6 p.m. I'm home in bed with my like DoorDash.
We like that too on a Saturday night. We'll go out to dinner with girlfriends. If I could be home by 10, ooh.
If someone makes a 6 o'clock res, I'm like, say less. Feels nice. Yeah.
An 8 p.m. res is red flag for me.
I know.
All right. Well, we'll be right back after this break to serve you more news, including the chore Kourtney Kardashian is doing completely butt naked. All right, everybody, and we're back. A woman is seeking advice since a friend in her circle consistently forgets to Venmo her back. She won't even pay up for a $20 karaoke night despite allegedly hogging the mic all night. How do you go about fixing this?
It's really uncomfortable when somebody forgets to pay you back. People can read this article. The way she went about it was a little crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that you just have to say, like, you send the 2 Venmo requests and then you text the person, I need the money. Like, even if you have a bunch of money, you don't owe it to somebody else to pay for anything. And I think it's perfectly fine to text them a couple more times, and then I would stop inviting them to stuff.
Yeah. We were saying, like, that is the nice thing about the Venmo request is you shoot the request out there. Sometimes I miss them. You don't always see them. Then you can follow up with a text like, hey, and you just play dumb. Did you get my Venmo request? This was interesting because the girl's rich or she has money. So the one that's not paying. So they brought that up. But then basically this girl wasn't paying. She has this track record of not paying. And the other girl just replaced her in the group outing without telling her. So that would have been such a good opportunity to be like, if you don't pay for the thing, you don't have a ticket and I'm going to invite someone else. And that could have been a teachable moment of start paying for stuff. And instead, she just kind of like
iced her.
Yeah.
Ghosted her.
Yeah, she ghosted her.
It's just such an easy way. Also, paying for things ahead of time is such an easy way to be able to say to a person, I need to replace you with somebody who is going to pay me for this. So, like, not to ice them out, but like, other people would like to come to this. They will give me money. If you would not like to give me money, I will go get it from another person. That's super fair.
This is an issue. We want to validate it. Your friends that don't pay you back, you have to ask multiple times. It's awkward. You can decide if you want to be their friend. You should just definitely stop paying for them if you want to continue the friendship and don't cover them anymore. But this was kind of one of those weird things. It's actually best case scenario for those type of people because it was a pay in advance type of thing.
Right.
You know, we were talking.
Well, that's a solve. Yeah. Everybody pays in advance and whoever doesn't, they don't come.
Yeah. This is a ticketed event or whatever it is. Or Rayna just did a birthday dinner recently and the girl who was hosting it sent out like, this is the deal. This is how much it is. So everybody knows what to expect. Venmo me in advance. You know, it's just kind of, it does suck to have a friend like that. But there are ways around it if you want to keep the friendship.
Yeah.
I just pay for everything. Okay. So I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'll take care of it. I got this.
The way that you were like, yeah, I don't care about this advice.
If you're coming out with me, I'm not asking you for I've got it. We're good.
I think we're talking to like 23-year-olds. Like, don't got it.
Totally.
You know?
It's true. I'm 48 and I've worked since I was 11 months old. I've got your karaoke.
Well, it's the Sex in the City. You pay for the drink. Like, what is it? In your 20s, you're in your 30s, and your 40s, you pay for the drinks.
Yeah.
I think even in my 20s, I did the same thing. But again, I started working at 11 months old. By the time I was in my 20s.
Paying for people at 7.
I paid the rent at like 3 years old. So I'm so screwed up with money. I just don't even think of it. I'm like, well, I've got this.
Drew, you can come out with us anytime.
We'll pay for you.
And I tip really well.
I bet.
Like, I might have a tipping problem. Or is there such a thing? Okay, our next story, Kourtney Kardashian claims that she did the dishes completely butt naked to take advantage of being away from her kids while with Travis Barker in Palm Springs. Thoughts?
Did you watch this clip?
Oh, there's a clip?
It's from the second episode of the Kardashians.
Oh, what's the clip?
It's the clip is her telling her mom about it. Her mom and Corey come over and they're like, "Where are you guys?" And then they have dinner together and she's like sitting over tacos with her mom being like, "And then I just did the dishes naked." I mean, whatever. Go off and do whatever you want. I don't feel the need to tell my mom I like got and then like walked around and did chores. Like, my mom knows I don't need to tell her. I'm here with my husband. Like, her need to constantly ram down everybody's throat like I'm getting it's different. It's not for me, but like go off. I mean, I guess she was with Scott for so many years and they had separate bedrooms and she wasn't like doing dishes naked.
Is that true? Do they have separate bedrooms?
So I don't know her personally, but they talked about it a lot on the show.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Keeps up more.
Yeah, they had like separate bedrooms. I remember when she got pregnant with the third kid, I think Kim said to her like, he's not like a sperm donor.
But don't you think that like, I don't know, the producer was like, hey, this will make a good headline. Tell your mom you did dishes naked. And then you can see the headline and it's this like sexy tip. I mean, it's just everything feels
I agree
like
with
produced,
the mom. Like that's I can't.
In front of Corey?
Yeah, I know. I know.
I would tell my mom that. My mom and I are like, I would be like, yeah, I don't know. I actually can't. I haven't lived with a man in quite some time. I forget what it's like, but I just feel like
Chris was turned on by it. Chris and Corey were excited to go home.
But I will say to Kourtney Kardashian directly, and no mother or boyfriend of mother, that I totally, when I'm alone and my kids are at their dad's, I totally strut around naked. Yeah. And I lock all the doors and I literally, like, I love it so much. There's a sense of me that thinks this is crazy. It's not that I'm even like so free and comfortable, but I still enjoy it. I'm in a state of being slightly torn, but I'm so excited to have the opportunity. So I totally get it.
Totally. That's why I'm like, why is this news?
Right. So would you do the dishes naked too?
Yeah, I think the dishes are a good thing to do. You don't want to cook naked. You get like a splatter, a grease totally on your body.
Right.
Like,
totally. Fry
naked.
a nipple.
Yeah.
No, that's not good.
All of a sudden, pasta night is at the ER. But I think again, this is something that we've done episodes on how to keep the romance alive, do spicy stuff around the house. Like, why not? I'm just trying to think if I'd want my partner to be doing the dishes. I just want to be doing the dishes.
I don't want to look at a man bend over.
A guy doing the dishes is enough of a turn on.
What if he bends over though? Like he's naked, he bends over, you see a grundle. I don't want it.
Oh, true. He's like filling the dish.
The male anatomy and female anatomy are so different.
But you're right. It's funny. Sexy.
I think this is funny because so many couples fight about the dishwasher. Yeah, and it's like you're fighting now. You're like, I'm naked, and he's telling me how to load it properly, and this went terribly wrong. Like my mom and dad would fight. My mom would be butt naked, and my dad would be like, Cindy, you got to put the knives down,
Maybe this could also be like a rock, scissors, paper for whoever has to do the dishes, and the other one gets to be naked, and you turn it into a whole sexy thing.
I think it's sexy to do chores naked. I don't know that I would tell my mom about it, but Chris seemed turned on by it, to be honest.
Your stepdad, Chip, if you told Chip, Rayna has this like funny stepdad. He's always wearing a statement shirt. He's always looking like he's about to.
Ashley was strutting around my house in the tiniest little shorts. I was like, good for Chip. He gets to see some ass finally.
I forgot he was in the house, and I came downstairs in Rayna's mom's house, and I was wearing little booty shorts, and I have never forgotten it. It was traumatizing for everybody.
Were you doing the dishes?
I made a sandwich, so even sexier.
That's the kink.
By the way, that probably is every man's fantasy: booty shorts and food.
Great.
Okay, our final story. Let's end on a fun note. There are reportedly 8 green flags in a relationship that you definitely should pay attention to, since we've had a consistent flag conversation. One of the green flags is feeling like a team. I like that. I wave that green flag. The other is if they say they're going to do something, do it. They do it. I like that green flag too. What are some of your green flags when it comes to dating?
So that one, them saying what they're going to do is, when I read the article, I was hoping that was on there because that's probably the one that we discuss the most. It's so important. Showing up when you say you're going to show up, someone you can rely on, consistency, all those things. We've even discussed different attachment styles and insecure attachment with an avoidant attachment. And like if the least you can do is just be consistent and show up.
Attachment is another word that Barry and I have discussed, and it is so powerful. Like, I had a real attachment issue, ironically, to my job here. Like, for the first 2 years, I was really scared that it was just going to go away at any moment. And we launched in a pandemic, and I was incredibly attached to this. Like, it makes me so fulfilled, and it makes me so happy. And he would talk to me a lot about attachment, and it doesn't always just have to be in relationships with other humans, like with your parents or your lover or, your friends.
Yeah.
It can be a lot of different things, the word and the feeling and the idea of attachment. But it's a very powerful thing to bring up, because once you realize that you have an attachment to something, you can immediately start to sort of unweave yourself from the web. So that's a great notion of discussing attachment in many different forms.
I love that. I like discussing attachments to things other than romantic partners.
Yeah. I mean, nothing in the world means more to me than Girls Gotta Eat in this community. And I'm so honored that we get to do this. And I get to do it with, like, my best friend. And it's so fun. And we've affected all these people. And I say, like, I don't even care if I have children, because, like, we've raised all these daughters. And it's really, like, special and beautiful. And, of course, I want a romantic relationship. Of course, I want a partner like everybody else. But, like, I have this other thing, and I have all these friendships. And I'm very attached to, like, what we've built.
Rayna, you got to have a favor from that article, because it did say boundaries.
I do love boundaries and somebody respecting them. You know what I liked in that article was I for a huge green flag to me is zooming out and looking at the person's life and saying, do they have good relationships with friends and family?
Yes.
And I think you can sort of base what your relationship might be like. Romantic relationships are different, but I want to know that, like, you have solid, healthy relationships with other people, and that you have a life outside of me, that you're going to bring things into my life. I love when somebody has a bunch of friends and I get to, like, meet new people, and they have, like, a cool family, and that's so fun for me. And I just want to look at what the relationships in your life are like, because if I constantly hear you saying, I want to date with this guy, he told me he hated his brother and him and his sister had a bad relationship.
Yeah.
And of course there's a lot of layers to that and why that might be the case. But I was just like, okay, let me note this. This person has 2 siblings. He has issues with both of them. Like, what's going on here?
I could not agree more, Rayna. I went on a date with a guy, and the whole time, all he did was talk trash about everyone, including family members, in-laws, friends, and people in his industry. Anytime I brought someone up trying to just desperately make conversation with this negative Nelly, I swear to gosh, all I kept thinking is, oh God, you are so toxic. Like, this is so bad.
Yes, and it will suck you in. There are people who have this bond that, like, all they do is just talk together, and trauma bond, and complaint bond, and those people are, like, bad for your psyche.
I just cannot tell you enough how much I have enjoyed this. I really want to do this again. I feel like I'm developing a little bit of attachment right now.
Drew, I feel like we should take you out to dinner and pay for you. That's what we should do.
No, dinner's on me.
All right, I won't fight you on it. You've been working since you were 11 months old.
It's true. I've got everyone covered. I really do. I mean, Ashley and Rayna, it's so obvious why you have this big community and following, and I'm so grateful that the world has you guys in it. I feel lucky to be in your sphere, and I just want more. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having us.
Lucky. Thank you.
Seriously. All right. Follow the Drew's News podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like the podcast, then, you can tell a friend, or, you can, meet somebody somewhere and say, like, hey, my name is, have you heard the Drew's News podcast? Or, if you get into some type of odd fender bender as you're giving your insurance information, you can say, I've been listening to this podcast lately. I was just thinking it made me laugh. Maybe we need to laugh after this hideous situation. It's just, if it comes to the top of mind, yay. And be sure to watch the Drew Barrymore Show every weekday by going to thedrewbarrymoreshow.com, and then you can find your local time and channel. And as always, Rayna and Ashley, I'll sign off by saying to everyone, we make this show for you, so take it with you. But I'm certainly going to be taking this conversation with me. Thank you.
We will too.
All right.